companion animals. Pets are domesticated animals kept for pleasure. Companion animals are animals whose own has a intense emotional, whose owner has an intense emotional tie. So a pet is just something that you might just, well, let me not go into that, but companion animal is one that an animal that you may have an intense emotional tie to. So types, you got ornamental pets, you got status, you got playthings, you got hobby, work, helper, and service. So we'll talk a little bit later about some more service animals that you may come in contact with. So the importance of companion animals, you got 60% of American families who own pets. They're often regarded as another family member. They serve as a catalyst for human interactions. Sometimes you may get some animals, or you may get a child who may not be comfortable with a lot of human interactions, but if you bring a pet around that child, they may open up to where they are actually interacting with more people because of that pet. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later too. So the role of nonverbal communication. Dogs and cats use postures, gestures, facial expressions, sounds in that communication. So these animals may show signs of aggression, signs of support, many things that they may come in contact, you may see from nonverbal communication. The role, owners interpret their nonverbal signs as expressions of affection. So you may see some animals that if you've ever seen the animals walking through the hospital, you can look at those animals and tell that they can sympathize with those patients through nonverbal communication. So pets provide only feedback, no criticism, no gossiping. So a lot of people like pets for that reason. That's why they, have that saying about pets or dog is a man's best friend, because it can't talk back. It can't, upset you in ways of communication like humans can. So the value of companion animals, So the guy right here, he stated that pets upgrade the quality of life and bring us closer to nature, provide companionship, and emphasize the fact that animals must be accepted as desired participants in society. So basically saying all that to say, this guy was a child psychologist. So saying that to say that pets are not only animals that people just sit outside and tie them to a tree. They are lap dogs, they are companions, they are emotional support animals, they are therapy animals, and all of that such. Okay, so numbers in the USA. Okay, so this is outdated information. But if you could Google some of these, you'll see that the numbers may have increased, considering that the demand for pets in our society as of today. So, but when considering this list, cats are the most populated. Then you go into like fish, and then you go into like other animals like dogs, birds, things of that nature. So when considering cats specifically, right? So cats adapt well in totally indoor lifestyles. You may see some indoor, outdoor cats, but they do not require outdoor exercising. So they can be maintained in an apartment type setting. If you a lot of places won't allow dogs, but they will allow cats. So if you still want that emotional aspect, that emotional tie, that companionship with an animal, a cat might be your best bet to your go-to when considering the lifestyle of a cat. So they're easily house trained. You can train them via litter box, or some people may even have them using the bathroom on the toilet. I've seen that happen. And some people say that that's not even that hard to actually do. But they do not annoy neighbors with barking or howling as much. They can be left alone for long periods of time. So the difference between a cat and a dog, you can leave a cat in the house or in an apartment with enough food and enough water, and that cat is going to go to that bowl, eat what they want, leave it, come back to it when they want some more. But the difference between a dog, most of the time a dog will eat up all the food that it sees at that moment and not have anything left over and overeat themselves versus a cat. So relatively, the cats are relatively inexpensive to obtain and keep. So I always take that in consideration, that the price of your animal, because don't just get a companion and not be able to care for it. So you need to take in consideration the financial aspect of keeping the pet as well.
Dr. Higgins, there's a question in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
Amaya Taylor asked, will you say the amount of pets reveal the mental health status of people within USA?
Could you repeat that?
Yes,
I can repeat it if it's okay, because I asked the question. I just wanted to say it. Well, you were referring to like the amount of pets within the United States, and kind of referencing how just like how in terms of dogs, how they're kind of like emotional, like they have a lot of emotional ties when it comes to I would say Americans mostly, but people in general, like how man's best friend and stuff like that. And I just saw like the amount of numbers, and like it kind of popped in my head. Like, would you say the amount of pets reveal the mental health status within the people in the United States, or would you say different?
I'm not sure about that correlation, but that's a good thing to look into when considering research. Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not sure about the answer to that, but there may be a correlation with mental health and the amount of pets that persons have in our society compared to others. I could probably imagine that being so, because we are more so luxury type. You know, we're not as such as like a third world country, so we have the money, the monetary demand, or we have the ability to acquire pets and things of that nature. So I would imagine so.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Where were we? Okay, so look. Now we're gonna talk about one second. So when it comes to the economic impact of companion animals, I'm sure these numbers have changed in the recent years, but if you look at how many $billion annually that these animals may consume. So dogs, you know, they are above $10.1 million annually when you consider the economic impact. Cats maybe $2 billion. When it comes to the veterinary care, dogs is 1.8 billion, cats 4.0. Did I say that dog right? 8 billion, and cats are 4 billion. And notice those are $1 billion annually. And I'm sure that number has increased to today's relevancy. So when consider pet-related industries, okay? So pet-related industries. So veterinary medicine and surgery, you may have, healthcare, prescription medications, the pet equipment. You can go into like collars, leashes, harnesses, beds, blankets, sweaters, toys, many different aspects of monetary aspects that you can acquire from just dealing in the animal industry when considering companion animals. More of those would be shampoos and pesticides for like flea and tick control, your training facilities and instructors. You get a lot of people that may train dogs and do things like that for a living. And I have a friend that trains dogs in Atlanta, and he makes a great living off of just basic obedience. He does a little bit more than obedience, but that basic obedience is, it could be fairly expensive if depending on what that owner wants. So the grooming facilities and products, the boarding kennels, cats and dog shows. No, people get really ridiculous with the cat and dog shows. If you've seen them and the preparation that's behind the scenes of these cat and dog shows, with they're brushing them out, they're grooming them, they're fluffing their hair to the way, almost like a hairstylist almost. And as well as the dog racing and service dog organizations, therapy dog organizations, as well as animal behavior therapies. So when I was in vet school, we had a program at the vet school called the PUPS program, where we would get our animals trained, and we would put them through a rigorous test of things that get them normalized to like walkers, umbrellas, hospital beds and things of that nature. And once they would pass those tests, once they would get the certificate, we were allowed to take our animals over on Saturdays to, what's the place? The VA. And we would do some animal behavioral therapy type things with the PUPS program over at the vet school. I'm not sure if they still have that today, but that's something that I would take my French Bulldog over to the VA and participate in. So when considering the domestication of dogs, their ancestors were the Canis lupus, which pretty much was the gray wolf. They would follow campers around. The pups may have become playmates for the children by them getting so close and developing those companion animal bonds. The territorial nature may have led to use as camp guard, so guarding all of the facilities, all of the perimeter of the people who take care of them and look after them, or even just throw them food or throw them food. They may have joined the hunts. A lot of animals will, if you know hunters, they may throw scraps to the dogs after they've, acquired the carcass that they wanted, and all of the waste from the carcass, they may throw it out to the dogs. And so that made the animals follow along on the hunts and things of that nature. But the earliest record of domestication remains in the, what's how you say that, Paleolithic caves dating back to 12 BC.
Excuse me, Dr.
But the selection of desired, yes.
We can't see your slideshow proceeding.
I don't know what happened. just happened?
Click inside the screen and then push enter and see if that works. Sometimes if you click outside, it'll stop moving.
Still sharing now?
Yes, now we see everything. So go back to, there it is. Now see.
Back. We back on?
Yeah, we can see the domestication of dogs.
Okay. So, so the selection of desired traits has resulted in the development of various dog breeds. So when considering dog breeds, there are many dog breeds. And over the years, people are training and breeding dogs for specific tasks. Those being like hunter, gatherers, retrievers, guard dogs, personal preference for varying colors, size, body types, and etc. So even when I was breeding the French bulldogs, it was a certain look that people wanted when considering French bulldogs, and that small, stocky, compact, and people pay for those desired traits of these different varieties of dog breeds. Okay, so now we're gonna move on to cats, right? So cats, first records back all the way to Egypt, ancient Egypt, with the African bush cat, about 4,000 BC. 4,000 BC. So these animals were trained to hunt with aristocrats and valued in control of rodents. So a lot of the kings and queens would have cats, or they would allow cats around their palaces to take care of all of the rats in the feed areas, especially if they kept grain and things of that nature. So they were brought to Europe by the people in trading ships around 900 BC. So, and they also became objects of deification, like the Egyptian cat-headed goddess, Bass. You may have seen that. You may not know the name of it, but you've seen that before in all of the ancient Egyptian pictures and things of that nature. In the Middle Ages, they became associated with Satanism, with witches and warlocks. The killing of cats in the Dark Ages contributed to the surge of rodents when considering the spread of the bubonic plague. A lot of times they killed off all of those cats during that time. And the result of them killing all those cats, they didn't have anyone to actually take care of all of the rodents that were being populated because of that mass killing of cats during the Dark Ages. And they were introduced to the Americans by Europeans back in the day. So purebred dog registries. This is something that could be tested on, like in a such fashion of name some purebred dog registries when considered American Kennel Club, the United Kennel Club, or the States Kennel Club. There are over 1.5 million new dog registries annually within the United States, because you may get the Bulldog Kennel Club, or you may get the American Staffordshire Kennel Club. And so they do have breed-specific clubs as well. But the major ones that we're talking about today are the American Kennel Club. Or that's the major one that we'll be talking about today, is the American Kennel Club, or the AKC. Okay, so the AKC. and that's estimated to be over 400 and counting dog breeds that are recognized all over the world. Okay, so when considering the American Kennel Club, it was established around 1884 as a nonprofit organization for the advancement of the purebred dogs. It maintains a stud book and breed registrations. Okay, so they maintain a stud book and breed registrations. Dog breeds are classified into 7 categories. 7 categories. So if you see a question, name those categories of the AKC, or name the overall club and the different miscellaneous 7 categories and miscellaneous groups. So when considering these 8, you have sporting dogs, you have hunting dogs, working dogs, terriers, toy breeds, non-sporting breeds, and also herding breeds, non-sporting, herding, and miscellaneous. So you get some of those mush-faced dogs that may fall into that miscellaneous group. But currently there are over 147 breeds that are recognized by the AKC, or the American Kennel Club. Okay, so what is an example of a dog breed for the sporting dog category? Somebody blurt it out.
German Shepherd. That was just there.
Okay, I mean, they could be sporting, but they're more so working dogs, right?
Greyhound.
Greyhound, that's a good one. So what impact does the companion animal industry have on the economy? Who can answer that?
More people are buying more so companion animals, especially in this day and age with, COVID, especially. More people have become like depressed, anxiety,
Yes.
mental health has been causing an uprise. So more people are looking for a companion, so they go to animals, and they're going for thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and people are paying that, so it's causing the economy to go up as well.
Especially with these new stimulus checks, right? Folks need to find out they find a place to find with that money, right? So,
right.
What's that next question? Anybody know the answer to that? Or who can look it up real quick to find that answer if you don't know?
Extreme or irrational fear of cats.
Exactly. So that's extreme irrational fear of cats. I thought that was interesting.
I met somebody recently freaked out who heard a cat over the phone.
Say that one more time.
I said I recently had that encounter where I was talking to my somebody on the phone, and they heard my cat make a sound and totally freaked out. I had to speak to a whole nother representative. They had to leave the building. It was just because they heard my cat.
Yeah, and that could be from a traumatic experience. Most of the time when it's that bad, it's from a traumatic experience. Yeah. So if you break down some of these sporting breeds, right? Or the examples of the AKC, or the American Kennel Club sporting breeds, you get your Vizslas, your Weimaraners, your setters, pointers, things of that nature. Going into your hound group. Excuse me. So you get your Basenjis, your Beagles, your Dachshunds, foxhounds, greyhounds, your pharaoh hound, your whippets, salukis. They're nice. Now we're going into the working dog, right? So you see that Mastiff, that Rottweiler, right? Great Dane, Great Pyrenees. If you all have ever seen some of the working dogs that we have out at the goat farm, we have some Great Pyrenees and we have some, if I'm not mistaken, it's the Anatolian Shepherd. But you also have Akitas, Commodores, Samoyeds, yeah, I think that's how you say that. Giant Schnauzers are great protection dogs, great protection dogs. Your boxers, your Doberman Pinschers are some of your common breeds of working animals. So going into the terrier group, right? Your bull terriers, your caring terriers, fox terrier, your Jack Russell Terrier, or the new name for it is the Parson Terrier. The miniature Schnauzer, the Norwich or Norfolk Terrier, West Highland Whites. Those are pretty common. But also remember, you see that American Staffordshire, or your Bull Terrier. I think I might have said that. Okay, going into your toy breeds, right? So you got your Chihuahuas, your Maltese, Pugs, Yorkshire Terriers, your miniature Pinschers, Pekingese, all of those. Non-sporting breeds. Is that a question?
Yeah, I'm so sorry. Can you go back 2 slides? Thank you.
Irish Setters. Irish Terrier.
Yeah, I'm good now. Thank you.
So now we're at the non-sporting. That's where you get your fluffy-haired Bichon Frise. Some people pronounce it. Boston Terriers, you got your Bulldogs. My favorite, French Bulldogs. Lhasa Apso. You got your Poodles. Tibetan Spaniel. Those are nice.
What does it mean to be non-sporting, though? I know it means that, of course, it's not a sporting dog, but like...
most of the time, like when considering like French Bulldog, or Boston Terrier, or Bichon Frise, or Chow Chow, these animals have a head shape that is not conducive to sniffing out things or being in hot weather. They have that mesocephalic skull, which is different from that dosiocephalic skull, the skull shape, where the dosiocephalic is more of a long, elongated snout or nose, and that's more prone to things like sniffing out things and as such. So these animals may have some type of issue going on with them to where they're not really good candidates for sporting breeds, if that makes sense.
Okay, because I have a Shar-Pei and she likes to hunt things like birds.
Yeah, animals are naturally hunters. And Chinese Shar-Pei, they are. So do you have any skin conditions with your Chinese Shar-Pei?
Yes, and ear conditions.
Yeah. So you get them nasty, funky, very inflamed ears, yes. and those, and if it's a Shar-Pei that has all of those rolls and folds, it's recommended that you bathe those animals a lot or not a lot, but
she has special medicine that she has to. For her shampoo. Right.
Right, so she has a special medicated shampoo because under those folds of skin may harbor bacteria and things of that nature.
Like infections and stuff.
Right, so you can see why that animal would not be a good sporting breed, because if it was out hunting in a natural environment for hunting, it may pick up a whole lot of different things that may harbor under that skin and things of that nature. You follow me?
Yeah, I got it now. Thank you.
I don't understand why
There's two questions in the
Dalmatians look
chat.
like good sporting dogs.
There's some questions in the chat.
Okay.
Taylor Curry question is, why some breeds considered as toy breeds?
Okay, so toy breeds are just kind of like the lap dogs. They're the lap dogs of the bunch. Most of the time they're considered to be smaller in stature. So they can be those lap dogs, purse dogs, lap dogs, bag dogs. That's what I call them, but a lot of those animals are able to travel and be around people in a more common fashion on an everyday traveling type thing. So they're small, compact. That's why they say they're toys, because people bring them around with them fairly frequent, if that makes sense. You follow me?
Also, Corey Smith asks, are miniature poodles a part of the toy breeds as well, or just the non-sporting?
So some certain dogs can fit in multiple categories. It depends on the use for them. But yes, it can be in the toy aspect, because you can breed animals down to where they're so small that their only function is to be like a companion. You know, they're so compact and, you know, Yorkie-ish to where they are, you know what I'm saying, only toy breeds. I hope that answers your question. So moving along, we got some herding breeds, right? So we got Australian cattle dog, Australian shepherd, border collies, Malinois, Belgian Malinois, Belgian sheepdogs, Welsh corgis. They can be herding dogs. German shepherds, herding dogs. They also can be working dogs, but the AKC mostly recognize them as herding dogs. If you've ever had a German shepherd around a lot of kids, they may, you know, especially small babies up from like, I say about 2 to 6, those German shepherds may nip at the back of their feet to kind of get them to move in the direction where they want to move. And that's a good example of them being a herding dog. Okay, so you got some miscellaneous breeds, right? That's just what it is. So you got some right here, that sheepdog, that specific type of sheepdog, and the Plothound, good ones for the miscellaneous. So so that's for your AKC registration stuff, right? So AKC is the American Kennel Club. Okay, so now we have some feline registries in the US as well. Like I said, this could be a test question. Name 4 feline registries, right? So, and if that is a question, you're gonna say Cat Fanciers Association, Cat Fanciers Federation, right? Crown Cat Fanciers Federation, American Cat Association, United Cat Federation. Those are some examples of those feline registries. Okay, so when considering the classification of cat breeds, right? So they're pretty much, you have examples of human developed cat breeds, which consist of exotic short hairs or Bombays, You have examples of natural cat breeds, being the Persians, the Russian Blues, the Turkish Angoras. Then you have examples of the cat breeds arising from spontaneous mutations, right? That's where you get your that minks, your Scottish foals, and things of that nature. So, who can look up the top 10 cat breeds of 2021? What's the top 3? If somebody can look that up real quick and blurt it out when you see it. Right?
Maine Coon, Ragdoll, and Persian.
Okay, so you see how that has changed a little bit, right? So Ragdoll has come up, right? But you said the top one is a Maine Coon, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you said Persian.
Persian's number 3.
Persian is number 3. Ragdoll is number 2.
Yes.
Okay, okay. So your top 10 cat breeds of 2021 is what was just stated, right? So now you see a couple of pictures of your brachiocephalic skull type. You see how their nose, when I say brachiocephalic, I mean like that's the shape of their skull. All right, see how their nose is all pushed in and smushed in? All right, so they may not be your best smellers. They, you know, they have a short turbinates in their coons, right? Here's some examples of those. You get some of your exotic breeds. I'm sure y'all will talk about breeds and during your breed quizzes and things like that, right? And your Siamese cats, right? What's the name of the cat that has no hair?
Sphinx.
Anybody know that? Anybody own one of those?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they feel funny to me, man. Y'all ever touched one before? It doesn't feel right. But
Dr. Higgins,
yes.
Asia
I have a
Ellison
question.
asked, do Persian cats have breathing problems?
Yeah, so they can, you know what I'm saying, they can have some respiratory issues. Yes.
Is the naked mole rat and the other cat you were talking about, are they connected in any way?
Probably by the genetic defect that they have to where they can't have hair, I would imagine. I'm not certain on that, but that's what, because I know it's a genetic defect to where they, which makes them not grow hair.
Okay.
So trends in the pet industry. Okay, so like we said earlier, you know, people are humanizing pets so much that has become a common thing to where people are giving pets almost more rights than humans in certain instances. So the pet population is rising. Like we said earlier, that could be because of mental health issues. I'm not sure about that. But the pet foods industry is a humongous industry. If you ever graduate animal science and you may need a job, I would look into the pet foods industry because you can find many jobs in the pet food industry, which consists of nutrition, veterinary expenses are rising. That's just a normal trend. I mean, that's just some supply and demand, depends on the area. Your veterinary services or your expenses may be more increased in areas such as rural areas and things like that, where you don't have that access to a common veterinarian. Other trends are upgrading necessities, pet services, big companies. Those are aspects of trends And traveling with pets, like I said, those toy breeds, make purse dogs, and I know y'all have been on a plane and seen somebody carrying an animal in one of those little bags. So contributions of companion animals.
Dr. Higgins, you're muted.
You're on mute.
Okay, we back. I don't know what happened, but okay. So the contributions of companion animals to humans. This could be one of your list type questions, right? So you can have narcotic and other scent work animals. You can have tracking, hunting, herding livestock. That's if you've ever seen a herding livestock animal in its natural environment where it's a few people, so that can decrease. If you are a cattle farmer or a cattle producer and you have lack of funds and you may need extra help bringing up your cows and things of that nature, you may want to invest in a herding livestock dog, which could decrease your aspect of having to hire someone else on. You also have service dogs for the handicapped and disabled. Did you all know, or do you all know that horses, ponies are also considered to be companion animals, right? So like I said earlier in the definition, anything that you can develop that human animal bond with can be considered a companion animal, okay? So anything that may help you reduce stress or anxiety. If you've ever had a cat and that cat has laid on your chest and purred, it's aspects of research that say that lowers blood pressure. That lowers, it's an aspect of heart function that actual purring contributes to. Guard dogs, guarding business and things like that. So you have so many contributions of companion animals to humans. You should have seen the faces of the veterans when we would walk around those, when we would walk around the VA with those animals. The nurses would come to us and say, hey, that guy has been so mean to us this whole time he was here. But when that animal walked in the room, his whole personality changed. He just lit up and he was the most friendly he's ever been since he's been here. So that's a contribution. Just having that, reduction of anxiety, reduction of stress levels. Those are contributions to society that companion animals may have. So like we talked about earlier, therapy and service animals. So nursing home visitations, that's what, you can also have that. Guide dogs for visually handicapped, people. C&I Inc. is an organization that provides C&I dogs to people. You have Dogs for the Deaf, Paws with a Cause, the Delta Society for Pet Partners program. All of these are programs and people who supply animals in relation to therapy and service. Okay, so always take in consideration, the different breeds that may be best for this. Okay, you have some of the German Shepherds, your Labrador Retrievers. Those are common animals that you may come in contact with that are servicing people by opening doors, opening refrigerators, opening, doors to facilities, things of that nature. They can be trained to do those specific things. So the human-animal bond, the human companion animal bond, is a symbiotic relationship, meaning that it's mutually beneficial. Social animals thrive with hierarchy and close interaction with the pack leader. Always remember that you should be the pack leader when considering your bond with your animal. That animal is looking for you for the guidance and assurance, you know, the extra comfort. When that animal is uncomfortable, it looks and tries to get close to its owner to feel a little better in those uncertain situations. So not only does the animal help the human can also help the animal by many ways. Companion animals provide an object for nurturing, care, attention, love, and return what happens to be an unconditional love. Unconditional love. So that love that won't speak back to you, it won't cuss you out when you're mad. I mean, when you get upset, when just take in consideration that unconditional companionship, that human-animal bond when considering animals. So let's talk a couple about some veterinary specialists. This is just kind of like pushed in there, right? So not only you have to deal with companion animals in regular society, you also have specialties in the veterinarian field to where like anesthetists, anesthesiologists. When I was working at the vet school, I was the large animal anesthesiologist so I would do the anesthesia for the colic surgeries, if we need to drop a horse down for castrations, lacerations on the legs and things like that. And it's an aspect of human-animal bond that you have to take in consideration when you're dealing with these animals in all of these categories, right? A lot of times they may be asleep, but a lot of times they're not asleep. You have to take in consideration if you need that animal to sit still for a cardio exam, you have to, have some certain skills in human-animal bond to actually get that job done. Dentists, critical care specialists. Let's say that you have a dog that comes in that gets hit by a car, but this dog may be so aggressive that you can't even put your hands on it. What are you gonna do at that point, right? So you have to have certain skills in human-animal bond to work in the veterinary and specialty fields, right? Like the microbiologist, you might have to swab under that Sharpei skin to see what organisms are growing under there, to see what you need to internally treat them with when considering the pharmaceutical medicines that they may need to be on.
She has to eat certain stuff too. It affects her.
Right. So
stuff like that.
So she got allergies on top of skin problems.
Yes.
See, and that's all about, certain breeds. Certain breeds may be more specific. And always, when you're considering getting an animal, always think about the research. Research the breeder, research the breed. Know what you're getting before you actually, obtain that animal. Because you may be buying problems, right? You may buy an animal that may have you a regular customer at the veterinarian clinic. So always take that in consideration. So here's some more. So I also I volunteered at Montgomery Zoo when I was in vet school, and being able to deal with the different species of animals when considering having to give them medications, especially dealing with wild animals. So you're dealing with a wild animal, but you have to treat that wild animal in the same sense. So you have to develop some type of human-animal bond with them to be able to get them comfortable enough to take the medications, to trust you enough to get close to you, to even touch them, to analyze them, right? So those are some of the things that you may want to take in consideration, right? So the rest of these slides are just for your knowledge. I would read through them and obtain as much information as possible from the remaining slides. But are there any questions, comments, concerns that you all have that has not been answered yet, as of yet? Or any general questions that you may have for me?
I have a question for you.
What's up?
So you're specializing, and if so, what was it, and why didn't you specialize?
Could you speak up?
Can you hear me?
Could you speak up? Say it one more time.
Can you hear me?
I heard that.
Okay. I said, did you decide to specialize? And if so, what did you specialize in? If not, why didn't you specialize?
I mean, so, okay, so my whole story, right? So in vet school, I realized I did not want to actually practice in a clinic in its most normal way. So therefore, I put myself in a position to be an administrator when considering teaching. I taught at the vet school for 4 years before I came over to the animal science department. Teaching at the vet school allowed me to get an opportunity to get more experience with large animal. My mentor asked me when I was about to graduate, what was I about to do? I didn't have a clear plan on what I was about to do because I was so on the fence about working inside of a clinic. And he recommended that I apply for the large animal internship. And from applying to that large animal internship, I worked as a large animal intern here at Tuskegee, and I got that cattle experience, I got that goat experience, I got that horse experience, or that equine experience. And from that, it developed into a job over there doing large animal anesthesia. I was doing a lot of dentistries in horses. So I really like dentistry in horses. I like dentistry, period. I like pulling teeth out. I like, you know what I'm saying, cleaning teeth. But my personal preference when dealing with any animal or any type of anything, my favorite is bees. I love honeybees. It's an aspect of human-animal bond that you have to consider when you're dealing with those as well. Because if you approach the situation where you are aggressive and you're killing them and you're causing harm to the hive, they will attack you. Bees are defensive. They're not aggressive, they're defensive. So to answer your question, I like bees most all. Then comes large animal when dealing with cattle and horses. But I'm not so much a small, I grew up in a small animal clinic. I did that ever since I was in middle school to like all the way up until vet school pretty much. But I really didn't like being in the building so much. So that's why I like to be outside. So I chose large animals so I can be outside a little bit more.
Have you ever thought about doing like marine animals, like ocean water animals?
So marine animals, not so much, but I did spend a lot of time and a lot of research dealing with aquaponics. I did, so when I was in vet school, I needed a stress reliever. So I started gardening, and from gardening, I got into aquaponics, which is using fish to grow vegetables.
Yeah,
so you're using the fish waste.
Right, I had a
It's a
class on
closed
aquaponics.
recirculating. You have a what?
I did the class last semester with aquaponics.